Historic Preservation Commission meeting. Time is 6:04. We'll start by doing the roll call. Commissioner Ball. Commissioner Ball? No? All right. Commissioner Billsborough? All right. Commissioner Garrity?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Garrison?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilbert? All right. Commissioner Larson?
I'm here.
Thanks. Commissioner Montero?
Here.
And Commissioner Nucci?
Here.
All right. Thank you, everyone. All right. Well, we have a few items on today's agenda. We are limited to discussion of items on the agenda by state law. Is there anyone that wishes to suggest an item for a future agenda? No? All right. Let's proceed with the approval of the August 14th meeting minutes. Did anyone have any changes to note or additions?
Chair Buss, I believe you may have meant the April 14th.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I?
Oh, you said August.
Oh, I am so sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, sorry. The April 14th, please. Thank you for correcting me. Any changes or additions? No?
No.
Would anyone like to make a motion for approval of the April 14th?
This is Commissioner Larson. I'll move to approve the minutes from April 14th meeting.
Commissioner Garrison, I seconded.
All right, thank you, Commissioners Larson and Garrison. Let's see, Commissioner Ball and Billsborough, I believe, are still absent. Commissioner Garrity, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Garrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Larson?
Aye.
Commissioner Montero?
Aye.
Commissioner Nucci?
Aye.
And I will vote aye as well. All right, well, thank you. And we will move on to agenda item number 3. It is a request for a certificate of appropriateness to repaint the Tempe National Bank building located at 526 South Mill. Can you tell us about that, John?
Thank you, Chair Buss. The Tempe National Bank building is listed in the Tempe Historic Property Register and is subject to a facade conservation easement. The current occupant of our Charles Trumbull's wishes to repaint it. It will be a gray scheme, light and dark gray. The repainting itself, I attempted to find color palettes for the Egyptian Revival style. That proved somewhat difficult to do. There is a precedent of this having been, these colors were very similar colors, and so the staff recommendation for this request is approval with conditions, those conditions being should there be changes to what was submitted by the applicant, those changes would need to be approved by the Historic Preservation Officer, and any non-painted historic surfaces as identified by the Historic Preservation Officer prior to permit issuance are not to be painted.
All right, thanks, John. And do we have the applicant or representative?
The applicant, Paul Almond, architect, and the representative, the owner of the business, Scott Price, were both sent meeting information. It doesn't appear at this point that either of them are in attendance.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks, John. I have looked at the information. I don't think the paint colors are a big issue. I would note, though, that sometime over the last, I think, 15 years, the owner of the business, the owner of the building, or the person occupying it, has made some changes to the outside of the building. I guess it'd be more appropriate to say to the areas around the building. And I don't believe those were run by the Historic Preservation Office or the commission, were they, John?
Chair Buss, that is correct. There have been alterations, some of them to the building itself. I've not been able to compile as of yet a complete list, but there are some stairs, some railing, a concrete ADA ramp, among other things that were done without a certificate of no effect or certificate of appropriateness.
All right. And is that something we can request the owner to address the commission on those issues at some point at a future meeting?
Well, Chair Buss, I would suggest perhaps I prepare a listing of changes that were not approved either under the ordinance or the facade conservation easement, and bring that to the commission for discussion, and the commission can agendize that, and then perhaps with that, should they wish to learn more, extend a request or an invitation and agendize that for a future meeting. But
Right.
I'd be happy should the commission wish to compile a listing of the alterations that have been made without approval.
That would be great, John. Do the other commissioners have some comments on this?
That's Commissioner Nucci. I have a question for John.
Yes, sir.
John, is there something specific that you're concerned about that has never been painted that may be in harm's way out there?
Yes, they have, well, the exposed Tempe National Bank sign, I suppose, carved stone. I can't imagine that would be painted. Nonetheless, I'd like to just ensure that we formalize the fact that it cannot be. There's also a small area off to the south side of the sign, exposed, and this was designed by Leighton Knipe, a structural engineer. I don't know if it's concrete brick or what it may be, but there is an exposed surface that is not currently painted. That would also be on the list of items to not be painted.
Right. I got that sense that you were anxious about one or more things out there. And I'm just suggesting that before we sign off, we get signatures from the owner and signatures from the contractor, so that nobody can say that, oh, we missed it, oops, because paint's reversible unless it's the first coat of paint. So, that's the concern there.
And Chair Buss, Commissioner Nucci, I appreciate this suggestion. I don't know what we might be able to do with respect to signatures, and I will ask Alex Smith if he has any thoughts to chime in. I know we do have the facade conservation easement, so in addition to HPC approval for the repaint, we can be very specific with respect to approval under the facade conservation easement. I believe that would satisfy what we're looking for, just being very explicit there, but certainly Chair Bush, Commissioner Nucci, and Alex Smith, should you have any thoughts, they're more than welcome.
I think that's fine. I'm just concerned, usually if you ask somebody not to do something, there's an implicit cost savings. But when it comes to painting, you have to mask that area off and take special precaution and handle it differently. So it's cheaper just to blow and go sometimes. And I just want to make sure that we've got everybody acknowledging that they're aware of what exactly our concerns are out there. Just sign an affidavit or sign a letter of intent or whatever you want to do. But you could collect that not at this point in the process, but at any point in the process before they turn their painters loose. So.
Well, Chair Buss, Commissioner Nucci, I suspect that would not be something that the commission would be precluded from including as a condition. That is some type of written acknowledgement that the terms of approval are understood.
John,
Alex?
John, that's what
I would say that there's two things. One, the conservation easement's a contractual requirement, so we can certainly, under that conservation easement, send them a letter that can be countersigned saying that, please don't paint X. The other, signing the affidavit with the permits is just typically something we don't do. So I think that a compromise may well be a letter prepared from the HPO to be issued with a permit that explicitly says, please don't paint this and highlight it. John's very good with those kind of details. So I think a short letter and then a countersigned letter for the conservation easement should do the trick.
John, could we
Bus,
accomplish-
Commissioner Nucci, Steve Abrahamson, City of Tempe.
Yes,
I will be writing a letter of approval as soon as commission gives the go-ahead. I can add any conditions that the commission wishes to that letter of approval.
Okay, that's what I was trying to suggest, that maybe one of the commissioners would like to make a motion to make that a condition of approval of their paint job here.
Thanks, Steve.
Welcome.
And Chair Buss, it looks as if there is a motion from Commissioner Nucci in the chat box.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Nucci.
Alrighty, I propose to move for conditional approval of a request to repaint the Tempe National Bank building located at 526 South Mill Avenue, subject to conditions 1 and 2 as stated in the staff summary report dated 5/11/2021, and the owner and contractor to acknowledge in writing areas not to be painted, PL 210089.
And Commissioner Nucci, would that be areas not to be painted? Would that be we'd be writing that as per the knowledge of the Historic Preservation Officer?
Well, whatever we agree won't be painted. Yeah, that would be John, sure. If you think that would add clarity, please go ahead and amend it.
Yeah, I think that would add more clarity to the applicant then. John, one other question in terms of asking the owner or representative to come to the commission to discuss the exterior changes at some point. Do we actually need that as a condition of approval to compel them to come talk to us, or how would that go?
Chair Buss, that is a good question. I don't know that it directly relates to this item, although certainly as chair of the commission, an invitation that you extend, I would think it would be in their interest to respond to it.
No.
With that, I seek Alex to chime in as well. What are your thoughts on the matter, Alex?
A couple of things. One, that work was approved by our department, to be clear. There was likely some miscommunication involved in that process. So we have to be cautious that they did go through a permitting process and received approval to do so. So I think what we would, the point of what John put in the report was we couldn't in good faith come to the commission without acknowledging that work has been done. So I think the suggestion should be the next time there's a major remodel of that building, those items should be addressed. And I don't know if we can go as far as to make that a condition of approval, but certainly, again, with the letter associated with the facade easement, we could make that point. Because it is in violation of the facade easement.
Okay,
And
thanks.
Chair Buss and members of the commission, to be clear, the department, yes. The Historic Preservation Office or Historic Preservation Commission, no. But yes, the Community Development Department did approve work that was done.
This is
Okay.
Commissioner Garrison. I second the motion.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. All right,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
this
go
is
ahead.
Joe Nucci again, and I I've amended the motion
All
to
right.
include reference to the direction of the HPO.
Thank you. Would we like to have a new second to that clarified?
Commissioner Garrison, I re-second the motion.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Garrison. All right, let's go through our roll call here. Commissioner Gary, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Garrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Larson,
Aye.
Commissioner Montero,
aye.
Commissioner Nucci,
Aye.
and I shall vote aye as well. All right, well, thank you for getting us through that. All right, well, let's move on to items 4 and 5, which are very related. They are a discussion and possible action regarding two different city-owned parcels. Agenda item 4 is regarding a city-owned parcel that is, I guess we're initiating discussion and possible action for a Tempe Historic Property Register listing. And the parcel is the northwest quarter of Section 23, Township 1N, Range 4E. This is something they teach you as a real estate agent, how to read this. What can you tell us about this, John? And by the way, would you like to do these as separate items or together?
Chair Buss, I believe we should do them as separate, just so we have recommendations pertaining to each individually.
All right.
Should that be the course of action.
Okay.
The properties on the northwest, in the northwest quarter, rather, of Section 23, this references the former railroad alignment along the north side of 8th Street. There are no standing buildings in the alignment, but as the Commission is aware, there are significant prehistoric features still in existence that were identified by Logan Simpson during the course of the 8th Street multi-use path Phase 1 and Phase 2 archaeological work. The Four Southern Tribes through Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community and the Gila River Indian Community have indicated that they believe this, or they understand this location to be a traditional cultural property. It is a location with ongoing cultural sensitivity and great significance. Here, the idea is not so much to list it as a recognition, but list it as a protection. A listing would require any proposed work to that area to be reviewed and approved by either the Historic Preservation Office or Historic Preservation Commission based upon the nature of the work. There is certainly a concern that as time goes on, there may be reduced internal awareness of the sensitivity of this property, and this listing it in the Tempe Historic Property Register would ensure that that is not the case and provide additional protection. So I would ask the Commission to discuss eligibility. We do know it to be eligible for the National Register under both Criterion A, Community Development, and Criterion D, Information Potential. So I would ask the Commission to discuss their thoughts on initial eligibility and whether or not they believe it's prudent to make a recommendation to the Mayor and Council that we initiate listing of that property in the Tempe Historic Property Register. And to be clear, the item was agendized as certain city-owned parcels because there will, of course, need to be some discussion as to exactly what is included within the Tempe Historic Property Register nomination. But generally speaking, the resource itself is what we're discussing this evening.
All right, thanks, John. Thoughts from thoughts from the commissioners on this?
This is Commissioner Garrity, John. So does, just correct me if I'm wrong, to be listed on the Tempe Historic Register, it has to be city property, right? You couldn't include the portion of it that goes on to the Devil's Advocate parcel?
Chair Bus, Commissioner Garrity, it does not need to be city property. However, as this would be a recommendation on the part of the commission to city leadership to make a nomination, they really, given the constraints associated with Proposition 207, could only nominate the city-owned property.
Okay.
We would certainly welcome the property owner to the north to include their portions of their property in the nomination. I don't know that that is something to be expected at this point.
Okay, thank you. Understood. I just wanted to get that clarified.
Certainly. Thank you, Commissioner Garrity.
Anyone
I
else?
have a question for John. Could you repeat the criteria of eligibility, the A criteria, what that was specifically?
Chair Bus, Commissioner Montero, the railroad corridor, what had been referred to as the Creamery Branch, was identified as eligible for listing in the National Register under Criterion A, that is community development.
Okay.
It was not recommended under Criterion C because there was some loss of integrity, and so it wasn't so much the matter of the materials, but the corridor itself, the transportation corridor. And so should there be a recommendation, should a nomination be submitted, the justification for listing would be its status as a multi-component archaeological site, both historic and prehistoric.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah, certainly the criteria for the archaeological resource, there's no doubt about it. It's unique and has information potential. And I was just wondering if, if that would fall under A for anything specific to, importance to the tribe, but it doesn't sound like it for the Hohokam resource.
Yeah, Chair Bus, Commissioner Montero, I don't believe so. That said, we're certainly always open to input from the 4 Southern tribes. The A and including that in the listing would ensure that we have some additional oversight over the remaining rail track there as well, because that is an issue that requires management as well. It's arguably not nearly of the same significance as the prehistoric resource there, but certainly something that as a land manager we have a responsibility to steward.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I totally agree that we should consider this resource, both resources for the city register, and bring that forward in whatever manner that is.
Very good. And Chair Bus, Commissioner Montero, and other members of the commission, should the commission be inclined, I believe what may be needed here to get this rolling would be a recommendation from the commission to, mayor and council, I suppose, regarding this property and its eligibility and the commission's desire to see it nominated for the Tempe Historic Property Register.
Commissioner Montero, would you be wanting to make a motion to that effect?
Yes, definitely. Let me see. So a motion to recommend that, the resource be brought to the city council as, being eligible for the city register under A for the railroad and D for the Hohokam big house, if that's what we think it is. Most definitely, it is a unique resource, has a lot of research potential, but is also of extreme significance to the tribes.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Montero.
And Chair Buss, Commissioner Montero, if I may just suggest that we add, in addition to being brought to the City Council, perhaps a recommendation or a request that city leadership initiate nomination of this property to the Tempe Historic Property Register.
All right. Would you like to add that, Commissioner Montero?
Yes. Sorry.
But all right.
Do I need to repeat it? Sorry. My
Chair Buss,
words are
Commissioner
pretty-
Montero, I think we can spare everyone the repeat. I think just simply amending it as such, and especially if there's no second at the moment, would
John?
be sufficient.
John,
Yes,
this is Commissioner Garrity. Because I was involved with the project, do I need to recuse myself? This is pretty separate from the project itself, so I didn't.
Yeah, Chair Buss, Commissioner Garrity, as I understand it, it's if you have a financial interest in it. I tend to think that you do not have a financial interest in this listing in the property register. That said, I will defer to your judgment and whatever it is that you are most comfortable with here.
I most certainly don't have a financial interest in this, but thank you for clarifying.
Certainly.
Agree with John. I didn't think you had a financial interest.
Chair Buss, this is Commissioner Larson, if I may.
Yeah.
I've got a question for John and maybe an issue to discuss. On agenda item number 4, I believe we're talking about section 23, and then agenda item number 5, we're talking about section 16. And the two properties referenced in these sections appear to be some distance apart from each other. Can you elaborate a little bit on which one is where? It seems to me that section 16 would be closer to Devil's Advocate, and then section 23 would be south and west of there, or where are we talking about on this agenda item number 4?
Sure. Chair Buss, Commissioner Larson, the property in section 23, the northwest corner of which is Rural and University, that is the 8th Street property. So the former railroad alignment on the north side of 8th Street, and although it's not included in this recommendation, the Devil's Advocate parcel are both in section 23. The next agenda item in section 16, that is the Gonzales Martinez house.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Certainly. Thank you.
All right.
This is Commissioner Garrison. I second the motion.
All right, thank you. I forgot to ask if we had a second or any comments before that. All right, all in favor? Commissioner Garrity?
Yay, enthusiastic yay.
Commissioner Garrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Larson?
Aye.
Montero?
Aye.
Commissioner Nucci?
Aye.
I will go for aye as well, with enthusiasm.
This is Commissioner Garrity. Can I just ask a quick follow-up? I could be wrong, and this is not the venue for getting into this, but I believe as a TCP, and please don't quote me on this, I think you could argue eligibility for the TCP itself under criterion A. At least I've heard that in the past. So not necessarily relevant to the direct question, but something we could consider as we move forward with this. Thank you.
Chair Buss, Commissioner Garrity, thank you. Yeah, I think that is absolutely worthwhile of consideration. As I recall, there was even a C component for the Butte listing. So, there's a great deal to explore here. But I appreciate the the input there. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. Let's move on to agenda item number 5 then, excuse me, which would be a similar discussion regarding the northeast quarter of section 16, township 1N, range 4E. And would you like to tell us a little about that, John?
Thank you, Chair Buss. Yes. This motion is in relation to the Gonzales Martinez house. Some know it as the squatter house or squatter shack. It is the small adobe home immediately west of the railroad tracks, north of First Street. It is the third oldest building in the valley, the second oldest in Tempe. Only the Hayden House is older. The property is classified historic eligible. It has been classified by the commission. It is also listed in the National Register of Historic Places. As the commission is likely aware, there was a lengthy dispute regarding ownership that has now been settled, and it is not only the city's in name, it is in the city's physical possession. As such, as stewards of the resource, there is a need to discuss the historic eligible classified property and whether or not the commission wishes to make a recommendation to the mayor and council that the Gonzales Martinez house also be nominated for listing in the Tempe Historic Property Register.
All right, thank you, John. Any thoughts on that? Any commissioners have anything to say on that issue, or?
This is Commissioner Larson. I've got the same position on this property as on the property in section 23 on agenda item number 4. I would make a motion that we recommend to City Council to include the Gonzales Martinez house on the Tempe Historic Property list.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Larson. And do we have a second for that motion?
Commissioner Montero seconds the motion.
Commissioner Montero. Right. And how do you vote, Commissioner Garrity?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Garrison? Commissioner Garrison? Lose Commissioner.
Aye.
There you are. All right. Thank you, Commissioner Garrison. Commissioner Larson?
Aye.
Commissioner Montero?
Aye.
Commissioner Nucci?
Aye.
Vote aye as well. All right. Thank you, everyone. Well, that brings us to agenda item number 6, chair and staff updates. And myself have nothing. What do you have for us, Don?
Thank you, Chair Buss. I do need to announce that, well, first, the 30-day mark of passage of the amendment revision to the Historic Preservation Ordinance, ensuring permanent representation of the 4 Southern Tribes Cultural Resource Working Group on the Commission has come about. At this point, the 4 Southern Tribes Cultural Resource Working Group has been asked to nominate a representative to serve on the Tempe Historic Preservation Commission. That nomination will then be acted upon by the City Council. And I'm sad to announce that unfortunately Commissioner Billsborough has had to step down from the commission because of professional responsibilities. So although losing Commissioner Billsborough is certainly a loss for the group, it does allow for immediate representation, immediate in a government sense at least, of the 4 Southern Tribes Cultural Resource Working Group on the Tempe Historic Preservation Commission. So very exciting news. That's something that potentially by, I would think, the July meeting, that member would be in place. As relates to the Gonzales Martinez house, which was the subject of agenda item 5, the emergency stabilization work has commenced. There were 150 tons of soil delivered to the property just about a week ago or so. That soil came from just south of there at a property north of 5th Street between the railroad tracks and Farmer. Reggie McKay of Adobe Technology visited the site to evaluate the dirt. He determined that it was appropriate for usage within Adobe and asked that we see that it was moved to the property. So there's 150 tons of dirt there. We have the water turned on today so that Reggie can get to work, and it is anticipated that he will be on site beginning perhaps even Monday of next week, working to sift the dirt, to take samples of the historic adobe for testing, and to form adobes using the dirt to ensure that it is in fact appropriate for usage there. And finally, and this is a first for the commission, but as the commission may recall, in November of 2020, there was a request to demolish the First Congregational Church, the first property listed in the Tempe Historic Property Register as a landmark, Kemper Goodwin designed building. The commission denied that request. Following denial, there was a 6-month stay of demolition. That 6-month stay of demolition ended on May 17th. So at this point, should the property owner wish, they could obtain a demolition permit for the property without any additional Historic Preservation Office or Historic Preservation Commission review or approval requirements. The building still stands. It is not anticipated that demolition is imminent, although that is certainly a possibility. We have been at the direction of the subcommittee that was assembled to address this, speaking with the property owner and their representatives. There is nothing firm to report at this point, but it is certainly hoped that the significance of the resource to the community has been effectively conveyed.
All right, thanks, John. Sad to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair Butt. It is still standing, so there is time yet. We shall see.
All right. All right, we shall hope. All right.
Great
Mr.
news
Chairman?
about tribal representation. That's wonderful.
Yes, it is.
Very exciting. Absolutely. Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
Nucci, I have a question for John. John, is the SRPMIC representative, is he a voting member of the commission?
Chair Butts, Commissioner Nucci, yes.
So he's 1 of 9, then that position is 1 of 9.
Correct.
Very
yes.
good. Okay, and we have the opportunity to fill that right away, so that's great. I thought
Yes,
perhaps
sir.
he was ex officio as a 10th member, but I'm glad he's a full-fledged participant.
And for the record, Commissioner Nucci, it may well be she.
Right, absolutely.
Anyone have any announcements or things they wanted to discuss?
This is Nucci again. I want to just verify next month's meeting date, the June meeting date. When we change the schedule, it takes, I think, some extraordinary measures on behalf of staff or the city to help us accommodate the change. But are we meeting on the 9th as we would normally next month in June?
Chairboss, Commissioner Nucci, that's what I have on my calendar is June 9th. I would ask Brittany, she's not here this evening. Steve, is that?
No, I'm here, and yes, that
Oh.
is the correct date.
Oh, there you are. You're ComDev WebX1. I apologize. Yes, that is. So Wednesday, June 9th, same bat time, same bat channel.
Okay, I have a question then for ComDev WebX1. And that is just simply, Brittany, if we are off schedule, if we're doing something unusual, could you just maybe send us an email that day or the day before and say, hey, wake up, it's different this month? Because I could have made it last week, but in fact I was there with bells on Wednesday. So a day late and $1 short. Once again, that's my life story. But I'm appealing to ComDev WebX1 to take the extra measure when we violate tradition, because this group is so apparently steeped in tradition.
I will do that for you, no problem. I can handle that.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Nucci, habits are easier to remember. Do we have any meeting dates for the rest of this year that would be off the usual schedule?
Chairboss, that is a good question, and I will defer to Brittany or ComDev WebX1.
Well, I don't know that answer. I don't have it pulled up. Can I send you guys the schedule? I'll pull it up when the meeting's over and send it to you guys.
I thought I remember there being 2 dates this year.
Yeah, I want to say it's possible that it's the October date. I know in the past we've had conflict with, I believe, Rosh Hashanah, although I can't say that that is the case for sure. But Brittany will give that information out to you.
Okay.
Did anyone else have anything?
No, not I.
All right, then I guess we will adjourn this May 18th, 2021 Historic Preservation Commission meeting. The time is 6:47. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good
night,
evening.
everyone.
Bye.
Good night.